Shaar blot of Shaar Hayichud VeHaEmuna. He starts here Likutei Amorim Chelik Sheni, the second part of Likutei Amorim. What does it mean Likutei Amorim? The Pashto means he put together sayings. Likutei Amorim. So whether it was because it was the humility of the Alter Rebbe, he didn't want to call it as his maker. The ganze Sefer, so he called it Likutei Amorim. And Nikir b'shem Chinuch Kotten. It's called Chinuch Kotten. To find out why it's called Chinuch Kotten, we're going to have to wait till the end of the Hagdome. And look at me pi Svarim pi Seifrim. Svarim, some say it's going on the Rambam and the Shalom and the Maral, right? And the pi Seifrim goes on the Baal Shem Tov, the Magid and the Menel Redokrim. It's based on the first parsha of Krishma. If you look in the Alter Rebbe, before there's a line before the Perek, before Perek Aleph, so he says Lahovin mat mizer. Lahovin mat mizer. Lahovin mat mizer. Mashakosov. Oh, mat mezeh mashakos b'zeyar the Shema Yisrael Yichud Elo Borshim Kedem Chos L'Lamvod Yichud Hatorah. So Chutz Mashma is explaining only the first posuk. He's not explaining the whole Parsha Rishena. So why over here does he say it's miyusad al Parsha Rishena Shel Krishma? The some that want to say that Behem as the Alter Rebbe is trying to stress over here. This you do that the Behemoth was a Havamina that Shaar Hayichud VeHaEmuna should be the beginning of Tanya. And eventually decided that it should be Chelik Sheni. But even after that, there's a lot of places you see that he hints to Chelik Aleph. He says Kamishi is boyer. So you do the Rebbe's Medaik over here. It's a few places over here. The Rebbe says Mekan Raya for what the Chassidim say at Behemoth he wanted to make it Chelik Rishon, and later he changed it to Chelik Sheni. The fact that he says Kamishi is born is alluding to Yonah that I speak about in Perek in Tanya, in the program in Tanya. Them is a raya that really he wanted to make it Chelik Aleph. So what's the Alter Rebbe saying over here? That the whole Shaar Hayichud VeHaEmuna is a base to have with what to think and how to gain Ava to the Eibishter. And Memele will be able to do mitzvahs, Vishinantom, Ukshartom, Uksaftom. So really the ultimate is to explain Parsha Rishena Shel Krishma, not just the Posuk Rishon. To bring it down, not just we want to become big maskil, we want to understand the Eibishter. We want to also get a feeling for the Eibishter, Vahafto, and then to bring it down to Vishinantom, and V'chul. So that's what we're saying, it's based on the Parsha Rishena Shel Krishma. That's saying, teach the child according to his way, even when he'll be older, he won't get away from it, he won't turn off from it. From the fact that it says, teach him on his way, mashmas, from them it's not the ultimate way, it's his way. And if so, what's the advantage that even when he's going to be older, which means he'll be educated, he'll know more, still he won't go away from this way. If it's only darkei, like you say, the Rambam says you have to teach children, you have to give them accordingly to what excites them to do things. That's going to be that's the regular understanding of darkei. What makes him excited? The Ram says you give them clothes, you give them then you give him better things, you give him money, and then you give him covet until he realizes that it's all nothing, and he should do the truth for the truth. So to say that he should gamki ask him the yosim imen, he shouldn't go away from it. So what's this stress of chanech lanar al pidarke that you should teach the child according to his way? This is known the roots of Avodas Hashem and the foundations. Roots means where it comes from, where it stems from. The Yisei means where it stands on. That means that gives it stability. Hein Tchilu Rechimu. The root comes from it. The Chilu is Yireh and Ave. The fear of Hashem and the love to Hashem, that's the foundation, that's the root, that's what makes him come to do the Torah mitzvahs. Hayireh Sheish V'Yasei the Surmera. The Yireh is a source and a foundation to Surmera. V'Avel of Asei Teiv. And the Ave is a source to Asei Teiv. V'Kim Kol Mitzvahs Asei De'Rais U'Drabonon. Here the Rebbe says, it's supposed to say V'Kim Kol Mitzvahs Mitzvahs Leises De'Rais U'Drabonon. That the Ave is a source to being Mekayim all the mitzvahs that Rais and Rabbonon, like it's explained later. The question over here is, what is it? The Yireh is the source to Surmeira. And then he says, Ave is the source to Asei Teiv. And Bekim Kol Mitzvahs Mitzvahs that Rais and Rabbonon. It seems as if the Surmeira is not including the Mitzvahs that Rais and Rabbonon. What's Surmeira Asei Teiv besides doing the mitzvahs? How could we divide? There's Surmeira, then there's Asei Teiv, and then there's another thing to do the mitzvahs. Asei Teiv is for sure to do the mitzvahs. Or if you want, even Surmeira is also to make sure to do the mitzvahs, because a person doesn't do a mitzvah, it's mirid in the Eibishter. It's not that itself is ra. So Surmeira means to make sure to do all the mitzvahs. So why do you need to add not only Surmeira, not only Asei Teiv, even Kim Kom says the Rais Rabbonon? It's one question. Also, why does he add besides the Yireh, the Surmeira? He adds the Ave brings him to Asei Teiv. What is the Asei Teiv that the Ave brings to, which is besides Surmeira? So by MS, it's explained in Chassidus that Surmeira includes also doing all the mitzvahs. It's not only not doing a negative act, it's also doing everything, and that all is included in Surmeira. Like it says in Chassidus in regard to Yiras HaEinish, that you're allowed to use Yiras HaEinish to do mitzvahs. It's even though that Yiras HaEinish in a way is selfish. It's I'm scared what's going to be with me. But still, you're allowed to use such a feeling in order to get a person to get himself to do the mitzvahs, because it's much worse not doing the mitzvahs than the yeshes of worrying about what's going to be with me, but the punishment that a person might get. So the fact that it says you're allowed to use this for Surmeira. What does it mean, Surmeira? To do all the mitzvahs, because to do a mitzvah means to make sure not to go against the Eibishter. So Surmeira is encompassing all the mitzvahs. Now and that's enough. I'm don't want to be. I'm scared whether it's Yiras HaEinish or a higher Yireh. He doesn't want to go against the Eibishter, not because of any lack of himself, because it's a chutzpah to go against the Eibishter. So that also includes to do all the mitzvahs. So he doesn't need anything more to get him to learn and daven and not to mevatel Torah, to do everything what he has to do. So what's the additional level of ha'avel of Asei Teiv that the love brings him to do good? So the Maimon, the Rebbe explains that Asei Teiv doesn't just mean stam to do good. It means va'asei teiv. Va'asei is also Meloshin to push. A person pushes himself a step more than he would regularly want to do. That's why it's asi Meloshin kfi. He forced himself yesim etiv regulusi, more than his natural self. That comes out of Ave. He has such a love to the Eibishter, so he will go to take the extra step. Especially when we'll see what the Ave comes from. That he realized his whole life is from the Eibishter, so then of course he'll give his whole life away to the Eibishter, that he owes him to do even more than his natural way of being. It's not Yiras, he's going to do according to, make sure to do what the halacha demands, but to do lifnim mishur sadin, the extra knech, the extra push, that's a seite, that comes out of Ave. That's because then there is. Now the question is even stronger. What's after that? What do you need? Kiyum kol mitzvahs that Rais with Rabbonon. If you're already having Surmeira, you make sure the person making sure he's not doing any Avedas. He's doing all the mitzvahs in order not to do negative and alien. And he's doing also Asei Teiv, he's doing more negative. What davon kum v'kiyum kol mitzvahs that Rais with Rabbonon k'mish yizbor b'im came on. So there's a diuk in Tanya in Perek Dal. The Rebbe says that this, I don't know, I'm not for sure in this pshat over, but it says over here that without ave ubil odo eilam kiyum amiti. There's no kiyum amiti to the mitzvahs. What does it mean there's no kiyum amiti? In Perek Dal he says without ave there's no kiyum amiti. That means I could do the mitzvah but I won't have a kiyum amiti. What does it mean kiyum amiti? There's a question, what does it mean? What does it mean that kiyum amiti? I'm doing the mitzvah. Eilam kiyum amiti. What does it mean? Whether the word is that in the mitzvah he's looking for dveikis in alakos. That the mitzvah he's doing not because this is what Eibusha wants I'm doing. He's looking, he sees the mitzav in the mitzvah, let's say. He sees deeper in the mitzvah. It's not just the act of doing. This is mitzav sevechibur. So it's another teich in the mitzvah. Or noch different. The ultimate idea of doing a mitzvah, which is really the simple way of doing the mitzvah, that means there's nothing, this is it, this is the thing to do. So it's not, maybe that's the pshat, that it's not only he's looking for a dveikis, the key, this azay nicht anders, this is a lot greater connection to the Eibishter. That all comes from the yir and the ave. Maybe that's what he's saying. Ulai. If you have another pshat, adrabah. Not saying this is the pshat. It's tzorach bir, because we know the Alter Rebbe and every word was medayik. It's not stam, the Alter Rebbe just through. Fine. Then he adds, he says, mitzvah sachinuch hi gamkin b'mitzvah saseik mishekozu be'rechaim simishim em gimel. The mitzvah of chinuch is also one of the mitzvah saseik. What is he saying with this line? If it's one of the mitzvahs, it's already kiyum kol mitzvah saseh. What does he have to particularly bring out chinuch? And especially there's a shayla, what is the mitzvah of chinuch? Is it a deiraisa or a drabonon? Minateri you have to be mechanech? Is it a din minateri you have to teach your child, or it's a mitzvah drabonon? Well, what's the source of chinuch? Or he's trying to allude that this mitzvah of chinuch, haneichal nar al pi darkei, what he's going to speak about here, that is a mitzvah, that is the mitzvah say. This way of Ava is also mitzvah say. Others want to say the pshat is mitzvah chinuch gamkim b'mitzvah say, not just you have to be mechanech hakoten to make sure not to do Avedis, which is midaraisa, but even mitzvah say, you also have to be mechanech a kid. And if you have to be mechanech a kid to do all the mitzvahs, you have to give him not just to do the mitzvahs, you have to give him also the sheish of the mitzvahs. Chanech anar is referring even to a cotton. Because sin and what should we give the cotton? Also the geshmak in mitzvahs, the shemayim, and that's what he's saying. Chanech anar al pidarki. Because since I have to also be mechanechim in mitzvah say and the sheish for mitzvah say. Asaytei, which is a little austere the way we learned it before, Aval of Asaytei. But anyways, in order to be kind the mitzvahs in a truthful way, so he needs to be mechanechem to have avavayir. That's what we're talking about. Chanechal nar al pidarki, not just the mitzvahs. He should have a kiyum to his mitzvahs. He should know this is it, not just for now, for the benefit, side benefit. Adosidos. So that's you have to give him. You have to give him a Yisayis Dikav. You have to give him the Yisayis, the foundation, and what it should stand, the kiyum of his mitzvahs. That's what Alter Rebbe is adding here. Mitzvah chinuch gamkim mitzvah say. It includes also the avavayir. So noch a pirush. Because or else, how is it fallen over here? Just to single out one mitzvah out of all the mitzvahs. Unless you want to say that the Reise and this is very hard. How does it fall in over here? Fine, we'll go weiter. I see everyone's buying in. It's very good. We'll go weiter. Yeah, that's what he's saying.
There should be one derech. Why does there have to be a kohen
Al-Pidarki? What he could handle. The Avaviyah that he could handle, that he's going to say. Oh, that he didn't explain it. It's just first of the Avaviyah, we're referring to Avaviyah. And Avaviyah Gufe. So that's what he starts saying. I'm commanding you to do it, to love Hashem, the gamer. How do you do Ahava? It's a feeling. Bechlal, there's a question, how could Bechlal have a command with an Ahava, the kasha of the Maggid HaYeduah? How can you have a tzivui? You should love. If I love, I love. If I don't, telling me is not going to change it. I can't even force myself. If if you tell a person to think, he could speak, he could do. That's the whole word in the whole first chelik of Tanya speaks about the Beinoni is the machshav the B'ramaisa. But how can you have a mitzvah b'ava? And the frat it says Lashon Asiyah. There's two types of avos Hashem. Achasi, one level is kleis hanefesh betivo el beira. There's one. Basically, what he wants to say, there's one level that's the natural ava from the neshama telakus. Then there is something that's a made-up one. It's a forced on. The person forced himself into it. He convinced himself, and therefore he has ava. It's not the natural. We'll get to it later. And basically, that's what he wants to say. That's the ava that we're talking about over here. La Seiso is speaking about the ava. To do the ava is speaking about the level of something that a person works on it and makes himself, like we said before, the idea of asiyah is lashon forcing. It's not the nature. It's convincing. He convinces himself till he gets it. But here he goes on the higher level first. The achas, which seemingly it's the way the nefesh is on its own. L'mayla has it. And in order that he should be able to experience it down here too, when could he do it? This is for higher, for tzaddikim, like he's going to explain. When the nefesh asichlis will overcome, will be dominant over the chaymer, the guf, the chumris of the guf, and it'll make it that it should be the how do you say tachniyeu? Will subject the chaymer to ruchnias. It'll be only a tool with which to use in order to serve the Eibishter. That it's going to become like his eved, it'll become like a slave to the nefesh alakis. It's only here, like the two levels of that all the only reason he's getting in touch with Elam Hazeh is in order to be able to serve the Eibishter. He eats in order to have keches to learn, to do mitzvahs, not because there's anything to the Gashmi Kemeshu. Or even higher, he comes to the realization that that he realizes Gashmis itself is dependent on the Eibishter. It becomes an edel chaymer, like he said later. So once he puts down the chaymer is out of the way. Once he takes rid of the nefesh avaymis, then eventually the nefesh asichlis. So let's see why he uses the expression nefesh asichlis. Azai tislaiv, it is light b'shalheves ha'edel. Then it will flame. It will be farflam. It will be full of excitement with like a flame which going up on its own. To cleave, to connect to Hashem. The togil v'tismach ba'avaya isa, and I'll rejoice with the Eibishter which made him. V'tisaneg alavaya tainug niflo, and I'll major a wonderful pleasure and godliness. How? Because he took away the obstacle. He took away the chaymer. He put it aside totally. That it's not like he says by tzaddikim. He says right away that's the level of tzaddikim, that he has no nefesh avaymis, he has no feeling for Elam Hazeh. Therefore, automatically, out comes the nefesh, reveals itself on its colors, on its way. Like the Lashon says about the Mittel Rebbe, it says, he didn't know what a coin looks like. So the question is asked, what do you mean he didn't know what a coin looks like? He gave tzedakah. So there's explanation, he didn't, like Yodim Lashon Yediyah. He didn't mean anything to him. Money was only a way, a means to do tzedakah, to do a mitzvah with. You have to have a heichet mitzvah to give tzedakah. So there's a mitzvah of a matbeya. Not that it means anything. There's nothing to it. The Rebbe explains when I get to there's a medrash. It says about Yitzchak. It says Vayizer Yitzchak ba'aretz hahi vayimtza mea sharim. He planted and he found 100 times as much as they would estimate that it should come. And it says, why did they estimate it? They measured, they estimated to know how much the earth is going to give out in order to know how much maisis. Or maisis, and they made even more. So the question is, what's the question? How could you say he planted? Well, what's the problem? The thing is like this, because the others were merkava. They had nothing in their life besides serving the Eibishter. So why would he go plant? What does he have with Elam Hazeh? What does he gain from Elam Hazeh? That's the Medrash explains. You know why he planted in order to give tzedakah. The whole reason he had a field, he had in order to have a hechetimtze, in order to give tzedakah. It's not that he saw something with what the field gives out. Or like it says the Maimon Chazal, Ani Nivresi L'Sham Sheskeni, which there's two Nuschois, or Ani Nivresi L'Sham Sheskeni, or Ani Le Nivresi Elo L'Sham Sheskeni. What's the difference? Ani Nivresi L'Sham Sheskeni means I'm here. Now, what do I have to do? So the Eibush wants to put on tefillin. Okay, I'll donate my time. I'll put on my hand, my head. I'll put on tefillin. Ani Le Nivresi Elo L'Sham Sheskeni means there's nothing but the Eibushter. The Eibushter wants there should be a tefillin put on a head, so the Eibushter created a head. The Eibushter wants a head should understand the lakus, should understand the word Chassidus. I should realize godliness. So I'll use it so that there has to be a head. So the Eibushter made a head. So the head is only a tool how to have the heichitins of the mitzvah. So that's another way of looking at the world. So there's no chaymer, there's no world as Welt as there's a world. So lakus of pshita, there's only godliness. And it has to be a mitzvah of a mitzvah. So they made it a mitzvah of Welt. The whole mitzvah is only to serve the Eibishter. That's the way the tzaddik lives. It doesn't see world as an entity other than on the kudaf and teira mitzvahs of dveikus and lakus. So if that's the touch, and how does he do it? So it says nefesh asichlis. Why does it say nefesh asichlis? So B'chlal it says in the Kotatera that the Alter Rebbe didn't mention nefesh asichlis in Tanya. Nefesh asichlis, we always say that in Tanya till here, Chanech Lanari, you only see the Loshen nefesh alikis and nefesh abaimis. Nefesh asichlis is not mentioned. So the Tzemach Tzedek writes that B'chlal in Likutei Amorim leihuskar the nefesh asichlis, even though that in the Kotatera there's a whole maimer about the nefesh asichlis, but in Tanya the Alter Rebbe didn't mention it. So there's a whole question, why didn't he mention it? There's many explanations. But seemingly, if you look over here, he did mention it. What does it mean? So the Chassidim learned the pshat over here. What does it mean? He's speaking not about the nefesh asichlis as regular understanding. Nefesh asichlis would mean the intermediary between the nefesh avaimis and nefesh alikis. In short, nefesh avaimis means the animal soul, which is out for his own benefit, his own self-benefit, selfish, yeshus, about himself. Then there is the nefesh asichlis, means what's right. He wants to know what's right. Intellectually. He's not all about himself. He wants to figure out what's right. What's the ultimate benefit, the real good.
But isn't the nefesh asichlis thinker? I mean, it's not 120 years. The nefesh alikis goes back to the Eibishter. The nefesh abaimis did a good job. As bad as a person or buzz, means the nefesh what the nefesh. But Elamai is unser nefesh asichlis. If them, this the ganze Kabbalah is the nefesh asichlis. That the way the nefesh abaimis has the influence on the nefesh alikis has the influence on the nefesh abaimis. Al pi seichel. And through the midas, this is the nefesh asichlis.
Right. So that's the way we say that. Right. This is the person. This is the man. This is the Odom. Right. The person. The way it's explained. Yeah. That he's the one that figures out. He brings down the ideas from nefesh alikis. That's what we're saying. We're saying that he brings it down to the nefesh abaimis to explain to the animals which looks only for self good. So he explains you're looking for good. This is ultimate good. The Eibishter is ultimate good. Very good.
The nefesh asichlis sitting on Eden is never shchina.
No. It depends on us.
They're all gonna have a schar. It's not so posh.
What's the nefesh shchina? You're talking about the nefesh asichlis.
Everyone's gonna finally get the Yovel schara. You want to know exactly what it is. נפש החיונית ונפש the Nekuda is like what he was mentioning it. This is what we're going to get at.
Because you can't relate to each other. Only through nefesh.
That's what he was saying. Yeah. So the nefesh alikis is alakus b'pshitis. There is only godliness. So that if he would speak the nefesh abaimis, there wouldn't be a dialogue. He would say alakus, he would say vu. So the nefesh asichlis explains it. What do you mean? How did you come about? So he could explain it to him in his terms that should make sense to him. So he's the intermediary. That's the memutze. Oh, that's one big.
No, but
he concludes. We'll soon get there. That's one raya. There's a lot of rayas, and there's another raya. What's going to happen? Azai tislide v'tislide b'shalheves ha'elu me'elev v'togov tismoch b'vayei so v'tisan l'vayei taining niflo. That's the natural nefesh ativis. That's tiva for nefesh sichlis. I mean, it's not natural. So therefore, that's one of the proofs that the nefesh sichlis he's speaking over here. He's not speaking about the nefesh sichlis, the one that intermeets. He's speaking about the nefesh lekis. Why does he call him nefesh sichlis? Because here he's referring to the koyach haseichel of the nefesh lekis. And if you want, it will go even further. There's a place that's explained in Chassidus, which just also answers why in Tanya he doesn't mention the nefesh sichlis. It's a big question. Because really, the nefesh sichlis is included in the nefesh habayis. And at the end of the day, he's a behemoth. What's haste? He's not really nefesh sichlis. Why? What's seichel? Seichel means, I want to know the ultimate truth. Nefesh sichlis has this issue, he can't know the ultimate truth. He's tied to himself. He's looking, what's my ultimate benefit, the real benefit, I want to become part of that. But to lose himself totally, to realize that ultimate, that idea of seichel is, there's no pre-consumption. There's no what I am here, and now let me fit myself in the best way of I could existence. That's seichli, the way we regularly understand it, the memutza. But the nefesh lekis, that's ultimate seichel. Seichel, by definition, means he's not attached to anything. There's no way things have to be. He could go and go till to come to the ultimate akuda, and he's comfortable with it. How could he be comfortable with it? Only because he's a mitzina seichel. Seichel questions his own mitzias. Seichel questions. Why seichel? For what seichel? What's the question of questions is why? That's seichel's attitude to everything. Why? Everything. There's no why. So everything, if he's real truth to himself, he'll ask in his own existence why. He'll ask in his own mitzias of seichel, ask why. Till the root, till come to the ultimate, that only nefesh lekis could do. So therefore, also sometimes it says the nefesh lekis is called sichli, and the nefesh baimis in the package deal is called tivi, which means he goes according to his nature. He has his way of being. He's not seichel. He's not pure seichel. If it would be pure seichel, he'll be able to come till the emes amiti. He'll come to the root of the yesh, the ayin hamahavas yesh. He'll be able to negate himself. He wouldn't have a problem with that because he's not tied to anything, and that's only nefesh lekis. So that's another way maybe we could explain why he here uses nefesh sichlis and nefesh lekis. Why did he use the seichel part of him? Because he's al pi seichel, he's being mashbel dechem, he's misgaber al achemer. It's not just gili and the neshama, so to speak. The herig shayne muvade. He has a base behind al pi seichel also.
Maybe that's the asiyah.
Huh?
That's the asiyah.
The asiyah, no, because but the thing is that he's saying over here the ave we're referring to is not the ave is asiyah. What you're saying is that what he's doing is asiyah pu'ula, that he has to convince. But he's saying over here azay tislai nefesh kleis nefesh betivel beira. So the achas, the first level of love that he's speaking about to Hashem, he's speaking about the natural, that the neshama is one with Hashem, like a child to a father. That's him. It's not because of the ultimate comfortability is when he's with his parents. It's not the touches he's looking again. This is him. Who shorshe? Whatever the explanation, the neshama has a dveikus telekos because he's going to gain something. That's his mitzvah. That's the only existence that exists. That's betivo. So that's why this is not an av that he made himself. It could be he had to have a aveda to take away the side issues, that the chemer shouldn't stand in the way. But to say that that's the av that he's making, that's not the av. The av is the natural av. He says, who gains this level of aved? Hey, man, they call tzaddikim. They're called tzaddikim. Kediksiv simchut tzaddikim ba'avayeh. So why does it say simchut tzaddikim ba'avayeh? That there's a special simcha that only tzaddikim could gain. Other people cannot gain it. It says Ivdas Hashem b'simcha, which that's referring to every yid. And then it says simchut tzaddikim ba'avayeh. How could the both psukim work if only tzaddikim is to everybody? So there's explanation. There's two types of simcha. There's a simcha mitzad avon. There's a gain of connecting to the Eibishter. The Eibishter is Ein Sof. It's much better than anything in this world, anything out there. This is the ultimate. This is the best. So it's so to speak, it's a understanding which convinces the person that he should want to be connected to the Eibishter, and he's happy that he could do a mitzvah. He could be connected with the Eibishter. That's finally I'm a somebody. put it in that mildly. The Nefesh Elokis, the Simchot Tzadikim, the Neshama, the Tzadikim Gemurim, their Avet Eibishter, they're nothing else but the Eibishter. It's not because of a gain or a vukish they're looking for something. That's what exists. Not every person has a schus to gain it. There's to me much refinement of the chumnius, of the mundane, the physicality of the person, very much. Maybe we have to know what it means. Made twice, fine. The gam also. I guess the word of made because you have to go till the end. You can't stop in the middle, because then it's always that's going to be the part that's covering over, not going to let the neshama experience his natural feelings. But gam teiru maisim tevim harbe, and also he has to do a lot of maisim tevim. What's the a lot? What's the also here? The diuk is because a regular person doing teiru mitzvahs doesn't get it. So in order that he wants to gain this extra expression of the neshama, to gain to the level of neshama yena, which means he explains what means neshama yena, the higher level of soul, which is higher level than the levels of ruach v'nefesh. We know the neshama is divided in 3 categories: nefesh, ruach, neshama. But here he doesn't just say l'neshama shalamayla madrigas ruach v'nefesh. There's we'll say the nefesh is called like the power of doing what the Eibishter wants. Ruach means feeling for the Eibishter, like the midas are called ruach. Tegen ruach is the ruach is belev. Neshama is usually b'meach, the understanding of the Eibishter. Like say nishmas shakai tevinim. Bina is connected with the level of the neshama. But here he says liskis l'neshama el yena. What does it mean l'neshama el yena? So if we look at the Eishes Chochmah, he says this is the level of the neshama l'mayla. The neshama l'mayla, the way it experiences the Eibishter. In order to be able to gain such experience of the Eibishter, that needs all these hagadomas, and regularly it doesn't come. Therefore, you need a Teirah Ma'asim Tevim Harbe, a lot of Teirah Ma'asim Tevim. What does Teirah Ma'asim Tevim do to a person? When a person says Vayitzavein Vayas Kol HaChukim Eile, why the Eibishter command us to do all these mitzvahs? The Yirah Esavai, in order to gain a fear of Hashem. So the mitzvahs we're doing brings a person to fear of Hashem. What does it mean? Without that I can't have Yirah Shamayim. The answer is the Yirah Shamayim we gain through Teirah mitzvahs is much greater than the Yirah Shamayim we gain without Teirah mitzvahs. Why? Because a person on his own is so far from the Eibishter, how could he experience the Eibishter the way he is? How could he ever feel the reimus of the Eibishter the way it is B'emes? In order to gain to that, he needs to have Teirah mitzvahs to do what the Eibishter wants. But Mela now he's connected with the Eibishter, like we learned last week in Parshas Lech Lecha. When did Avram become Avram? Not when he was Mesa Nefesh and he Chasidim and he was Mefarsin the Eibishter and he jumped into the fire. That all didn't give him to become Avram. Teirah doesn't speak about it, doesn't give no mention. Maybe in a hint, but not really. Only when the Torah speaks about Vayemer Avayel Avram Lechalcho, and the Eibishter told him to go. What did he tell him to do already? But the fact that now he's doing because the Eibishter told him, so now he's connected with the Eibishter himself. That's much higher than all the things he did before. Because that was all his own conviction, his own understanding. So therefore, in order to realize, to feel, experience the Eibishter, that's only by doing what the Eibishter wants. Then I'm connected with then the connected Eibishter. There's a word once the Frierdiker Rebbe told him, the secretary of Frierdiker Rebbe, he told him, Ein Sof Shel Lifnei HaTzimtzum doesn't come to a minche. Davening minche is higher than Ein Sof Shel Lifnei HaTzimtzum. Ein Sof Shel Lifnei HaTzimtzum, blik vul Ein Sof of the Eibishter. A minche that heißt Atzpus Ein Sof, I'm doing what the Eibishter wants. So anything I'm doing is incomparable, has no significance to even the highest levels of Galuyim. It's not. So this is the same the Guru said, in order, but he has to do harbe. It's harbe unlimited, because he wants that the neshama should reveal itself on his level. So harbe will have to do and do till he gains it. So that's the higher level of Ahavah.
He's talking about the tzaddikim here. He's talking about the tzaddik of Tanya. You cannot become a tzaddik.
No.
Either you're born or you can do mitzvot and maasim tovim until tomorrow. If you're not a tzaddik, you're not going to get there.
That's ein chanami. Not a tzaddik. We won't be able to do zichur chachimer. We made merit. That's why he says it. The tzaddikim, they gain this level. They also to become the tzaddik, to reveal the tzaddik which in them. It's not they came easy necessarily. They had to also work in it. Except maybe a special tzaddik, and they were born. They didn't have to have any aveda. But Azay says that they have to work in it. It comes easy. It comes to them. They have where to go. But it's an aveda, and that's why they call them zeichel. for precisely that, because we can't escape ourselves, we can't jump out of our chemer, out of our yesh. We can't do it. The Eibishter created us and serve the Eibishter on our level. The Tzaddik has his way. He could crawl out of it. Fine. Then there's another level of Ave. This is Ave that every single person could come to it. When he'll think into it with the depth of his heart. What does that mean, the depth of his heart? Usually we think with our brain. What does it mean, the depth of his heart? Churi is hinting to the fact that a person has to put himself to it. It's not only enough that a person thinks about something. He has to relate it to himself. He has to find himself in it. What is it? Where am I in the picture? And what should he think about? Thinks that awaken the love to Hashem, believe Kol Yisrael in the heart of every Jew. What should he think about? So he says two things. Hein derech klal, in a general matter, ki hu chayenu mamish, that the Eibishter is our life. And just as a person loves himself, his life, our whole living is about making a living, and to live, and to be able to feel good. So too you should love the Eibishter. Why? Because he is beinen. He'll think it, and he won't stop there. He'll put it to it. He'll realize what's happening here. Like Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Yidden, he told them such major things that are happening. Azina Shemaim, it wasn't enough. If he would stop there, they wouldn't get the message. You had to say, Simu Levavchem. Take it to your heart. The Eibishter, that's his true life, of course. That's his life. Like the Zayir says in the pasuk Nafshi V'sicha, which he says, he touches, what does it mean Nafshi V'sicha? Nafshi, you Eibishter are my nefesh, therefore V'sicha. I crave to you. I'm desired to feel you, to have you. So that's one way to awaken. When a person gets the realization that his real life is the Eibishter, so automatically you have after the Eibishter. Not every person could reach that. Hein derech prat, and also in a particular way. We'll start realizing, understanding the greatness of the Eibush, the kings of all kings, in an individual way. Kasha Yuchal says basically how much he could manage to figure out in his own brain, how much he could understand, and also realizing higher than his comprehension. That means because he realized that he's speaking about the Eibishter. So whatever he understands, it's nothing in comparison to the way it really is. So when he gets this realization of the greatness of the Eibishter, then he thinks to the great Av of the Eibishter to us, the great and the wondrous love of Hashem to us, which is beyond grasp. Later the Mitzrayim, the Eibishter lowered himself down to come to Mitzrayim. Ervas Oretz was the lowest place. The Yidden were then in the lowest state. To take our neshamas from the Kura Barzels, where how you define, they make gold and silver. They have to cook it up, the gold, in order to sift the pure out of the bad, the good out of the bad. So that initially that was the whole mechuvan of going to Mitzrayim. It wasn't just a punishment we should suffer. Really, that's what made the Yidden Roy for Matan Torah. That's the same thing when they get to Golus Za'ach. And our goal is a preparation. We'll be able to experience the Giluyim of Losid Lovei. So you put the pale. What are they encountering there? That's what was able to suppress the Neshamas Yisrael. But Shamal Meisha, that was hard for them. They weren't able to be themselves. They made their life bitter. They weren't able to experience the Yiddishkeit with the way they would want. And the Eibush lowered himself down to that level where they were. To make us close to him. More than that, to become one, become one with Hashem. What does it mean, dveikus? When we say something becomes davuk, connected to something else, what does it mean, connected? He's touching it, he's wrapped around it. What does it mean, dveikus? I say a Talmud is dovuk to the Rebbe, to a Chassid to the Rebbe. If there is any part of him that is not connected, that means he doesn't feel how this part is coming from his, so that part is not dovuk. The ultimate idea of Dveikus means he realized that he has nothing to himself without the Rebbe. His whole life is coming from the Rebbe. Like it says in Gemara, the whole world is getting sustenance from Chanina. Because of him, Bishvil, through him, he's the tzaddik Hader is making on it. Tzaddik is Seidelim. He's the foundation of the world, in physical and in spiritual. Everything comes through tzaddik. So the person that's the Negeta Rebbe Chosid, which is connected to the Nekuda because he connects us with the Eibishter. The Eibishter Kameshu, that's Dveikus Bishmei. To connect with the Eibishter means to cleave, become one with Hashem. That we should realize we have nothing to ourselves but the Eibishter. Anything we have is the Eibishter. And in such a level that V'hu Shmei Echad, that the Eibishter and his name is the one. It's not just that we could realize how our aspects are coming from the Eibishter, but the aspects of the Eibishter, the tchunas, the attributes we have, the intellect, the emotion, our whole life makeup, we would think that can't connect to the Eibishter. We say no. V'hu Shmei Echad. The Eibishter name is one. The Eibishter is not a murkiv, it's achzus pshuta. This also will go and be explained more in great length in the Hemshech HaProkim of Shaar Hayichud VeHaEmuna. So what does he realize? The Hainu, which means he elevated us from the lowest of low impurity to the ultimate holiness. There's no limitation, no definition. So if a person realizes how the Eibishter picked us up to become one with him, from the lowest of low, azai kamayim aponim laponim, automatically, like a face shows, like the water shows the face of the person to the person that shows his face in the water, so too when a person realizes the great ava that the Eibishter showed to us, they will automatically awaken a love in the heart of every one which will ever think about this idea, contemplate about it, focus on it, look at it, realize it with the depth of his heart. That means bring it to himself. Automatically leves avaya avaz to love Hashem with a strong ava, or dofka be believe on nefesh, and to cleave with Eibishter with his heart and soul, just like the Eibishter comes to us with his heart, came to himself, came to us, and he also brought us to become close to him. Learning Torah, doing mitzvahs, like the Alter Rebbe explains, like he says here, Kamishi is boyer bim keimo barich, like it will be explained in its place at length, which refers again to Chelek Aleph, which, as we mentioned before, it's another proof that he was planning to make this the first part. So, since he realized that the Eibishter wanted to make us one with him, so we too want to become one with the Eibishter, and that's through Torah and mitzvahs. Learning Torah is a connection to the Eibishter with it's like Neshikin, speaking Torah and davening. It says the word from the Baal Shem Tov. He mentioned Tanya also Neshikin Pelepez L'daver Dvar Avayis V'Alach. When we speak Torah, that's like kissing the Eibishter. And he says the Iyuna Torah is to connect our brains to the Eibishter, connect our nefesh to the Eibishter. That's all. We'll have nothing to our life, nothing but this. That's how far the Ava penetrates the person, that there's no part in his life that it's not just he's likes the Eibishter. He has nothing to himself. That's the Ava Az, I guess, how it extends itself to all parts of him, that his whole being is about the Eibishter. So this is the Ava, the lower level of Ava, but this is something every person could figure out. Every person could come to this level of Ava.